Hello there, my fellow degenerates, and welcome back. It's your queen of a has-beens, Jay, and today I'm back here with another video. So instead of doing something more cartoony or animation, I decided to go on the opposite end of the spectrum and do something a little bit more realistic. Even though I did not look at a photo reference, this literally came from my head. I just made it look as realistic as possible, and you'll eventually see that. So today I thought I would talk about my journey as an artist. I would say from the age of 4 up until now at almost 23, and what the future might hopefully hold for me in the future regarding art. So without further ado, I hope you guys have time, I hope you're comfy, and I hope you enjoy the making of this picture. So I would say my art journey started in elementary school when I was around 4 years old. Now, I might not remember a whole lot growing up before the age of 7, but what I do very vividly remember is my time spent in art class. It was usually around the time when I was in a room with other kids who were completely blind or visually impaired. So we were all grouped together, so we would all go into different classes together based on our age year. But the one thing all of us did at the same time was art. And it was always a fun time. It was always nice, at least not being the only one that can't see very well, but still doing art because it's fun. So I do very vividly remember a picture I drew. I wish I had it still, but obviously it's been almost 20 years. I obviously don't have that picture anymore, but I'll do my best to describe it. It was basically a picture of a person. I don't remember if it was a boy or a girl. They were jump roping mid-air. They were outside. It was like a clear sky. It was sun. I think the whole thing was made out of crayon because, as a kid, what else do you use besides crayon? And it didn't look very scribbly. It didn't look messy. You could actually tell what was happening in the picture. That's what I vividly remember about the picture, was that even to this day, I could still recognize what was in the picture. And it was so good that people actually reacted very well to it. Even though, obviously, 4-year-old me did not care in the slightest because, I never really took art beyond something that I did in school. I just thought it was a school subject, So that's pretty much how my art journey started. I was just in art classes every year, literally almost every single year. I'd say besides 5th grade and 9th grade, I was in art every single year. It was just at that point, it was weird if I wasn't in an art class. And pretty much up until I was 15, I just never took art seriously. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed doing art. I always found it fun. But, I was more of a TV kid. I, only really played by myself. I wasn't really much. I was creative, but I just didn't really do anything besides watch TV, so I just never took art seriously. Yet, somehow, believe it or not, in spite of the just general lack of care or self-awareness I had at that age, I still somehow managed to do one of the biggest art-based accomplishments I've ever done. And basically, when I was 6 years old, I had made a sculpture in art class. and it was, how I called it, a pone line airplane. You heard me right. It was a combination of a pony, a lion, an airplane, a choo-choo train. It had beads all over it. The entire thing was painted brown, so it didn't even look like any of the things I just described. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I thought it looked great. It looked even cooler when my art teacher put like yarn on the top of the head to make it look like it had a lion's mane. That was pretty cool. Like, I didn't really think much of it besides, wow, this looks pretty sweet. But apparently somewhere down the line, my art teacher, I guess, submitted it to the Detroit Institute of Art. And next thing you know, I'm being taken to the Detroit Institute of Art in Detroit, and I'm looking at my own art piece on display. I really didn't understand what was going on at the time, but now that I think about it as an adult, I'm like, wow, as a 6-year-old, I think I've accomplished something I've always wanted to accomplish in the last 5 years. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, I would not achieve success like that again until I was 15, when I was at a different school and with a different art teacher, and I did a completely different project where I just carved a heart with wings on it into like a stamp material, and yeah, that was put into the DIA too. So the fact that it happened to me twice is kind of saying something. Like, I'm either somehow lucky in art, or my entire life is just one massive, hey, let's just be confusing, you know? So 15 was about the year I started actually taking art more seriously. Like, it wasn't like I was starting to do commissioned or I was looking to improve on my skill or anything. No, it was more of a, I discovered that I could use art to express how I feel. And unfortunately for me, I was the type of person that felt a lot of things very intensely. So having a way to kind of communicate how I felt was super helpful. And yeah, I had no friends except for like 1 or 2 at the time. So I didn't really have much else to do. So essentially all I really did for like that first year of taking art seriously was just doing nothing but draw. Like, I very distinctly remember my Christmas present I got that year, and you would think it would be like the most basic, boring, minuscule, like simplest thing you could ever give anyone for Christmas. Yet 15-year-old me was absolutely elated. And what was it? It was a simple sketch pad. It came with 2 pencils, an eraser. I now know it was called a kneaded eraser. And I used that sketchbook every single day. I'm pretty sure I filled it out in the span of like 3 months. Don't quote me on that. I don't know 100%. It's been a while. But I used that sketchbook to the point where it was attached to me. Like, I refused to go anywhere without that sketchbook. And that was kind of more of my mindset for like the next few years. Like, I never took art seriously to the point where I knew what I wanted to do for a career or anything. But it did get to a point where I actually started doing art more and more, and I started enjoying it. I started having more ideas, started actually like discovering new things I could do, and just finding a way to express myself was the biggest thing, because I was not good at expressing myself. Like, I was the quiet, angry cough kid. I was not good at actually telling people how I felt. So art was basically my microphone. I just never exactly used it, you know? I never used it to voice anything, but I used it to at least express something, or maybe give a message I was trying to convey in a picture, because that's how I operate. I like to tell stories as I make pictures, or if I'm writing, I can think of a drawing idea, so it works hand in hand. So I'd say around age 18 is where things did take a bit of a dark turn for me. Now, I won't go into it here, but eventually I will talk about my experience in my abusive relationship. But there was a few year period where I just didn't really do art at all. Like, around the time when I felt like I needed art the most is when I just didn't do it at all. And yeah, it was kind of hard. Like, part of me didn't notice it, but another part of me did notice that there was a piece of me that was missing. Like, I don't know if it would make any sense, but you ever have a feeling of when you stop doing something that literally isn't just something you love, but it's literally who you are, and you stop doing it, so you feel like you've lost a piece of who you are? It was like that for me, but because of everything I was going through at the time, I just didn't notice, I just coasted by for the next few years, just doing the best I can and just surviving mostly. And I'd say once I got out of that relationship, that's when I started getting back into drawing. It would still take, I'd say, another 6 or 8 months for me to really ramp up my art game, if you want to call it that. But basically, I just started drawing how I felt again. And once I started drawing, I remembered how good it felt to draw, how great it was to just sit down for hours and just work on a picture and be lost in my own world with the thought and the stories of what I was making in my head. That's what I realized was missing, and once I realized it was back, it was like I told myself that I never wanted it to be gone ever again. So eventually I would start building a collection of art material I would use. It started off really slowly. I think the first thing I got was a watercolor paint set from a mental health clinic I go to. And then I also got a pencil case from Wish. So with those two things, I at least had a start. And obviously with some paper, I just went to Walmart and just got a giant sketchbook. That was pretty dope. And I just started making pictures again. And for months, and especially during the quarantine, I would just sit and just draw all day, or I just sit and draw for hours upon hours. And honestly, that was the happiest times of my life, just doing something that I loved and that actually did make me happy, and that did sort of give me something to do instead of just sitting at home all day doing nothing. It really just brought something back in me I didn't know was missing. But not only that, it came back 10 times harder than it did. And I'd say around fall 2020, I made the decision to go back to school. And I finally realized what I wanted to do, because for the longest time, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something with art. But obviously, the only options you hear is either art teacher or freelance artist, and both of them sound like absolute nightmare jobs. So I didn't really want to do that, but then I discovered art therapy. And I'd never heard of it before. I heard of music therapy, but I never heard of art therapy. And when I learned that I could literally do what I love, but also be able to help other people out in their own problems. Like, it gave me a sort of direction in my life. I finally knew what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go as of being an artist, and I've been riding that train since. I'm currently attending Wayne State University. I'm basically taking online classes for the moment, but hopefully I will be actually like experiencing like physical classes again, since I haven't done that in a very long time. I'm going to be in school up until I get my master's degree for art therapy, but I'm looking forward to it. So one other major thing that's been a development in my journey as an artist was I finally did something that I basically thought I would never do. And basically I started my own art business. Well, I don't think I could call it a business because I don't really have anything going at the moment. I mean, I have a website and I have pictures and I have a domain and everything, but I don't have like, people lining up like asking, hey, you want a picture? Like, I don't have anything like that, but I'm at a start. I started doing something I wanted to do simply because I wanted to create art for people and I wanted to get my art out into the world. And I even did that with putting my art in some art shows and doing my first real art competition back in April. So I've been doing a lot of art related stuff, and hopefully within the future I'll continue to do it. I'll continue to be in college up until I get my master's, and who knows, maybe this whole art career thing might actually turn out into something interesting, or at least get somewhere to where it would not have been a total waste. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that would be the end. I hope you guys really enjoyed my story. I always like talking about at least the artist part of me. It's really the only part of me I think I ever felt confident in without feeling arrogant about it. Like, I love talking about art. I love talking about like my life as an artist. I love talking about everything I've done. But, I'm not the type of person that likes to brag about it. I'm not the type of person that likes to really wave my artistic flag in the air and scream with a bullhorn. But I do like talking about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story, and I hope you guys enjoyed the picture and as it's developed during this time. So, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully the next video will be even more fun than this. And yeah, with that being said, stay weird, y'all. Being normal is overrated. So, have a good day. Bye.